Buckle up and welcome aboard. You're in the hunt.
This is not a conversation about pro-choice versus pro-life, but what I do want to highlight for the black community, which is something that I think is not being talked enough about, because quite frankly, I mean, my views on the subject cannot just be put into one bucket, and that's another conversation for another day, okay? But given that, if you look at the viability of a group of people or of a species, right now in the United States, our birth rate per couple is about 1.7 children per couple. Mm-hmm. What that tells us is that generation over generation, we don't have a replacement birth rate. Yeah. Okay. Which means that we need more people, and one of the ways you do that is through immigration. But when you think about,
so this is what the Democrats are trying. This is the justification.
Yeah. So
what they're saying is,
but when you think about this, Wesley, when you think about we need more people, and how do we actually get to more people? If you look at where we are, we're going to have to pay money for the next generation's Social Security and the next generation's Medicare and all these types of things, right? Medicaid. Like these are the things that we're going to have to do. So if we're not in the Zappa variant, if we're not able to, as a society, reproduce in a way that's going to make our engines run better, we're in trouble. Okay, so I was thinking about that. And every Western country, by the way, is below replacement value for the amount of children that they're having. Yeah. Something to think about. Yeah. Thinking about that fact, you know what I started thinking about? And this pertains to the broader views of abortion in this country. What I started thinking about is, what about the replacement value for black people? Mm-hmm. Everybody who's talking about Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Okay, we were the only demographic in the last decade in the city of New York City, the most populous city in this country. There were more black babies aborted than born.
It's tragic
in New York over the past decade.
I know.
And it's only for blacks. It's not for Hispanics.
Not for any other demographic.
It's not for whites. It's not for any other demographic.
Amen, Wrendon.
So we as a collective NAACP are coming out and saying, look, this is a practice that is disproportionately affecting black people and the viability of us being able to grow our own kind.
Very good.
And once again, this is not a conversation about pro-life, pro-choice. Like, that's not even the conversation I'm having. I'm having the conversation of how can you sit there and say how much Black Lives Matter and how much you care about black people, and then wholly support a policy that makes sure that there's not going to be more black people in this country. It's inconsistent.
My man.
And so for the NAACP to do that and say that, that's their second thing, is they're basically saying, hey, and once again, the NAACP wasn't always like this. Jesse Jackson didn't start becoming pro-choice until he ran for president in 1982. Because before that, he and everybody else in the black community was like, oh my gosh, guys, we can't do this. And once again, this is not about being pro-choice or pro-life. It's about how we think about the policies that we have, how they affect our community. And as a black person who has two very beautiful black children and has 13% of this population, I need some answers as to how this is disproportionately affecting my community and the growth rate that's inherent in my community. Because in 2, 3, 4, 5 generations, the problem I have is there's going to be less of us. And I think that we have a very pronounced and significant and important role in culture, and I don't want to see that anymore.